What if the past is hiding more than we were taught? What if the neat, tidy stories they feed us in history class are just the sanitized version? A cover story for events so strange they don't fit the official narrative. It's wild to think about, right? That there are these moments in time, these artifacts and accounts that just don't add up. They're like glitches in the matrix of our accepted timeline, pointing to something more, something weirder. That's what we're diving into today. We're going to explore 3 ancient mysteries they can't explain. These aren't just campfire stories. These are events and objects documented in historical records. Things that have archaeologists and historians scratching their heads, sometimes for centuries. They represent a side of history often ignored because it's uncomfortable. So let's talk about Alexander the Great. This guy is a legend, one of the most successful military commanders in history. He carves out this massive empire stretching from Greece all the way to India. We think we know his story, right? Battles, strategy, ambition. But what if there's a part of his campaign that sounds like it's ripped straight out of a science fiction movie? We're talking about the summer of 329 BC during his Indian campaign. He's trying to cross the Jaxartes River, and his army is facing some serious resistance from the Scythians. According to some ancient chronicles, something truly bizarre happens. As his army is preparing for this difficult crossing, these things appear in the sky. The descriptions are wild. They're called gleaming silver shields. Imagine being a soldier back then, armed with a spear and a bronze shield, and you look up and see these things. They're described as moving in a triangular formation, hovering over the army. The chronicles say they made several passes over the camp, causing absolute chaos. The soldiers, their horses, war elephants, they all panicked. They're running around, terrified, because what the hell are they even looking at? These objects are described as spitting fire, diving towards the ground with a terrifying noise. It apparently got so bad that Alexander had to call off the river crossing for the day. He couldn't get his troops back in order. This isn't just one guy seeing something weird. It's an entire army witnessing an event that shatters their reality. Now, the mainstream explanation, when they even acknowledge this account, is that it's probably some kind of meteorological event. Ball lightning. A particularly strange cloud phenomenon, a meteor breaking up in the atmosphere. And look, that's possible. It's entirely possible that ancient people, without the scientific framework we have, would interpret a natural event as something supernatural or otherworldly. It's the logical, rational approach. But here's where it gets interesting. The descriptions are so specific. Burning shields, a triangular formation, intelligent, controlled movement. Hovering, diving, making multiple passes. That doesn't sound like a random weather event. Weather doesn't typically organize itself into a tactical formation and appear to interact with people on the ground. It sounds like something with intent, like a technology far beyond anything that should have existed in 329 BC. Let's jump forward in time a bit, to the age of the Vikings. These guys were the masters of the North Atlantic. They sailed from Scandinavia, Iceland, Greenland, and even all the way to North America. Open longships crossing fog-bound overcast seas. How the hell did they navigate? Out on the open ocean, your primary tool is the sun. But up north, the sun is often hidden by clouds and fog for days. No magnetic compass widely used yet. So how did they find their way? How did they keep such accurate courses? Medieval Norse sagas point to a legendary solarstein, the sunstone. The sagas are part history, part myth. They talk about heroes and kings. In the saga of St. Olaf, the sunstone is described as a practical tool. On an overcast snowy day, Olaf asked a man to point to the sun. The man couldn't. The king called for the sunstone and held it up, and could see where the light came from through the clouds. Historians long thought it was magic, a fantasy crystal ball. It sounded too good to be true. How could a stone find the sun? Easier to believe they were just expert dead-reckoning sailors. Then in the 1960s, archaeologist Thorkild Ramsco had a breakthrough. He proposed the sunstone wasn't magic. It could be a natural crystal with polarization. Certain crystals like cordierite, tourmaline, or calcite can split light into 2 rays, birefringence. Looking through and rotating a crystal makes the sky's polarized light change brightness. Even on a cloudy day, there's a ring of polarized light centered on the hidden sun. To our eyes, it's invisible. Hold up a polarizing crystal and you can detect that pattern. Rotate until the two images through the crystal are equally bright. That pins the sun's direction, even below the horizon or behind clouds. Suddenly, the legend looks like forgotten technology. Scientists and experimental archaeologists tested it at sea. They used Icelandic spar, a clear calcite from Scandinavia, on overcast decks. And it worked. They found the sun within a few degrees. Then archaeologists found Icelandic spar on the Alderney wreck, 1592, near navigation tools. It was found near the ship's navigation tools. Was that a sunstone? It's tantalizing, but not definitive. One crystal on one ship. We have sagas describing a near magical device. And we have modern science showing a natural crystal can do exactly that. The problem is linking the two. No confirmed sunstone in a Viking grave or shipwreck so far. Was the sunstone a common, simple tool? Just a chunk of crystal not worth grave goods? Or a rare, specialist instrument known to a few navigators? The sagas make it sound like a lost art. It forces us to rethink technology. For the Vikings, it may have been clever natural philosophy, optics and light used as a tool. Clever optics or a lost advanced navigational system whose memory became myth. Chapter 3. Alright, let's go to a place that's dark, murky, steeped in propaganda and mystery. When you hear the word druid, what do you picture? Wise, bearded men, in white robes, maybe hanging around Stonehenge? That's the popular image. But enemy accounts paint a much darker picture. Terrifying rituals, human sacrifice, immense power. Our main source, the Romans. Guys like Julius Caesar. Caesar was not an unbiased observer. He was conquering Gaul. Druids were intellectual and spiritual leaders. They were the glue of resistance. So his writings read like propaganda to justify invasion. Caesar calls them a powerful priestly class. They were judges, teachers, philosophers, exempt from taxes and military service. He also claims large-scale human sacrifice. He says the gods needed human for human exchange. Enter the wicker man. Roman writers say Druids built giant wicker effigies. They filled them with living people. Criminals first, then innocents. Then they burned them alive. It's monstrous. How much is true? Real ritual or Roman character assassination? For centuries, it was Romans' word versus Druidic silence. Druids left no written records, oral tradition only. Then, archaeology whispered back. Peat bogs across northern Europe yielded preserved bodies. Examples: Lindo Man, Tolland Man. Many show extreme violence, strangulation, slit throats, crushed skulls, often combined. This triple death. Bodies were placed carefully. Some had last meals preserved. Were these Druidic sacrifices? The context is right. The timing is right. The violent deaths suggest something more than a simple murder. It's not a wicker man, but evidence of ritualized killing, lending chilling credibility to Roman accounts. We also find ritual deposits in lakes and rivers. Swords, spears, shields, often deliberately broken and thrown. Slow motion, sword being thrown into a lake. We find symbolic enclosures used for ceremonies. Archaeology points to a society where ritual, likely violent ritual, played a central role. So where does that leave the wicker man? We've never found archaeological wicker man bones. Such a wooden structure probably wouldn't survive in the record. But bog bodies suggest the core Roman claim, ritual human sacrifice, might be true, even if details were exaggerated. Maybe wicker events were rare, or maybe pure Roman invention. The truth is probably in between. Romans saw real rituals and amplified them for Rome. It forces us to confront brutality in belief systems. Ceremony, justice, terror, political power. The Druids weren't just peaceful nature worshippers. They held life and death power, and may have wielded it in ways profoundly disturbing to us. The Wicker Man mystery isn't just whether it happened. It's about who writes history and how memory is shaped. a collision of two cultures, told by the victor. Whether propaganda or grim reality, the story shaped how we see the Druids, leaving us to sift biased words and ambiguous bog clues. So there you have it, a flying shield that halted the world's greatest conqueror, a mythical stone that let Vikings see the unseeable, a terrifying ritual that blurs the line between history and horror. These are the kinds of stories that get buried. They're too weird, too inconvenient for the simple, linear progression of history we're taught. They suggest that our ancestors were dealing with things, technologies, phenomena, belief systems, that were incredibly complex and, in some cases, still beyond our full comprehension. Each of these mysteries represents a crack in the official record. They are whispers from a past that was wilder and stranger than we imagine. Whether it was an unknown atmospheric event, a forgotten piece of optical science, the brutal reality of an ancient religion, these stories challenge us to think more critically. They remind us that the absence of evidence isn't always the evidence of absence. Sometimes the clues are just waiting for us to look at them with a more open mind, to ask the uncomfortable questions. Ancient records whisper strange things. Some explain away, others endure as mysteries.